Welcome to our series on SCORE, the Best Kept Secret. I'm Elise Mitten, and I'm the SCORE counselor in charge of technology at the Berks branch of Berks Schuylkill SCORE. And today we have with us our guest, Gail Landis, with the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And we're going to talk about how SCORE fits in with small business. So welcome, Gail, and tell us a little bit about what you do for the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here. We do share resources with SCORE at the Greater Reading Chamber. You have your offices there and you do your counseling there, so it's always exciting to see people coming in and out of the office and hearing them with positive comments. And 80% of the Chamber's business is small business as well.
So we're a match.
We are definitely a match. I do the government and community relations work for the Greater Reading Chamber, the advocacy to make sure we do have a pro-business policy agenda so that our startup businesses and our businesses here can grow and thrive.
That's great. That's great. And one of the things that we do, and I do want to say this, thank you so much for providing us with the office space so that we can meet with our mentees. We call them mentees.
That's right.
And we do that on Mondays and Thursdays, but we also have our SCORE office there so that if anybody needs to send something to us, we have a location. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
One of the things that you had mentioned when we were talking about getting ready for the series was that we are part of the Chamber's Business Resource Partners. So can you talk a little bit about how that works, even from beyond SCORE?
Sure. We created this Business Resource Partners group because we realized there was different groups out there helping companies getting established, and we thought, oh boy, it'd be great if we shared our information periodically. So we get together about 3 or 4 times a year, and SCORE is one of the members of that group. So we look at startup phase businesses, which would be somebody with no business plan at all trying to look at what they want to do, up to about 1 year. We call them startups.
Right.
And then we have our next phase, which is called early stage existing businesses. And that's when they're up to about 3 people, employees, or 3 years of operation, which is another critical phase for them to be successful long range, and you help with them as well. And then we do second stage businesses, which are like a 3rd year and then starting to get employees and starting to look at expanding and what they're doing. But it's valuable information that we share about what local sources there are. So at our last meeting, we sat down and we talked and we said, what's something we should be doing for the community? And we thought, oh, what's some ideas? And they said, well, maybe we should do a lenders match. Maybe we should do some business resource partners events in a social atmosphere, like later in the day, because small businesses are tied up in their business from beginning to end.
Definitely.
So maybe create an informal atmosphere where they would feel very, very comfortable. And your SCORE representative said, well, one of the biggest issues they have is sometimes finding a loan, but more important, understanding what the process is to get through. So instead of just doing the lenders match, that insight said we need to provide the business resource partners there as well.
Right.
So this group gets together, and we're planning a program now with the Small Business Administration for our smaller businesses, thanks to your input.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't know that, but that's really
Something
cool.
new. Something new.
I'm learning
right.
today.
Yeah.
And I know something that started last year that I was actually one of the speakers for right in the beginning is big focus on small business.
That's
And
right.
can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Sure. Many times I think small businesses are so busy working in their day-to-day business that they don't have time to focus on some things that could be really critical to make them successful in the future. So we sat down with SCORE, we did some analysis to say, what are the types of things? Is it financial? Is it the business plan? Is it a connection? And they get together.
All of the above?
All of the above, you got it. And they get together in a very confidential atmosphere, and they share their stories. And in fact, going back one step, the Department of Labor just came up with some new regulations. So we said, well, can we just come in for a moment and talk about that? Because they said, well, I'm a small business, that doesn't apply to me.
Guess what, it does.
It does. So that's why the partnership works so good, and we're flexible to see what the most important thing is to them right now, which I think is amazing.
Right, right. And those are held, it's once a month?
Once a month.
Not during the summer.
Not during
Yeah,
the summer.
yeah,
They took a little break off.
Yeah.
They thought everybody needed
Yeah.
some vacation
Right,
time.
right.
And we'll be starting back up, I believe, in August and September.
Right.
And we'll be looking at the targeted items that they want to focus on. It's not
Right.
about us, it's not about you, it's what they need in
That's
their
right.
day-to-day
That's right.
activities and
Because
moving forward.
I know, like, one that I went to was sales, and
Mhm.
it was the atmosphere there isn't you sit and listen to us and hear us talk. It's interaction, and that's great from us, from a SCORE perspective. It allows us to hear what they're thinking about and whether we're on the right track.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. In fact, I
So-
sat in on one time management, and that was very helpful to me myself personally with all the demands that are coming up.
Right,
So
right.
it works out
Good.
really, really well. It shows the resources coming together and then focusing on what their needs are.
That's right. And another you mentioned, and I'm not even aware about this, is the Chamber's Business and Community Advocacy Council.
Yes.
Don't say that 7 times.
Don't say it. Don't say it. We learned about 2 years ago, if I said the word government to people, that don't want anything to do with government. That
Right.
they're not going to help me. They're gonna help just be a nuisance for me. So we changed the word to advocacy, and
Okay.
SCORE is part of that group. And we thought it was really important when they became part of it, because they share and bring to us issues that maybe a small business doesn't have time to bring to us. And say
Sure.
there's a tax or there's some kind of regulation that's coming down the way. What can we do about it? So we're able to collaborate and speak with a greater voice on their behalf. And so I think we need to look at those types of things. And the other thing it does is for all the SCORE counselors, I think it provides you a basis
Right.
for when things are changing and happening, because many times you're also mentoring and helping them, but I could say, oh, guess what? Department of Labor just ended up with something new. Then you can share that and add that to the resource toolbox that you have for them.
And because some of our SCORE counselors are not within the work environment,
Right.
it provides us a way in which to be taught as well. You know,
Correct.
what's happening. Yeah, for
Very
sure.
correct.
So, as we look at our relationship and being right there with you, how do you see SCORE helping small business for the Chamber?
When I've talked with some of the people that have left after your counseling sessions, or that I have met in other places out in the community, one of the things they say is you help them understand the process. Because too many times, I think everyone assumes they know what steps they need to take,
Right.
but that you provided them with action steps
Right.
and a timeline in which they needed to get them done. And that initial counseling is just so critical, because there's so many great ideas out there. The Chamber does a business idea challenge with
Right.
our college students in the area. And in fact, we have referred them to you now, and the last 3 years, the 3 winners have said, I need some more information. I may want to turn this into a viable business.
Yes.
So, and they have, so that's good.
That's great. That's great. Looking toward the future, and I know a lot of things are changing, or opportunities, I should say, are
Correct.
changing for the Chamber itself. How do you see us as SCORE being there for you and also for the small businesses as that change develops?
Well, I think we
that-
all know that change is constant, right?
Yeah,
And one
right.
thing we know for sure is change is going to happen. And like today's environment, when I look at it, the global economy, the technology that is changing so quickly, it's hard for all of us to keep up to it. In my opinion, you create that starting point. So no matter what the organization or the structure is, SCORE provides that starting point for businesses, and no matter what type of business they're interested in starting, I think that's the greatest thing. They
Right.
offer such a diverse group of counselors with such great background
Yes,
and
we do.
experience that people aren't aware of, and you need to really take advantage of it. Believe me, you really do, because
Right.
I sit in on your meetings, I hear people that have talked with you, and you do make that difference. So I consider you to be, and continue to be, one of those resources in our local community, because we really do want to start that greater Reading, what I call it, entrepreneurial eco-culture, because small businesses
that's a
is our
really
future. Yeah.
Great name.
I like
Yeah,
it.
because that's who we are. Well, we have to wrap up today, and I would like to thank Gail for being with us today on our series on SCORE, Your Best Kept Secret. Check back next week for more stories from SCORE, the best kept secret, here on the People Chronicles. Like us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube. If you would like to access our services or volunteer with SCORE, visit our website, berksgooglescore.com.